aircraft carrier, and then test it out to see if it can actually work in the water. I've only built one other Lego boat, which was the Noah's Ark build I did, and that one filled up with water pretty quick, so we're gonna have to do a bit better this time. The plan is to build a 5-foot-long Lego aircraft carrier with a hangar inside for storing aircrafts, a catapult launch system, and even propellers to actually make it move. The first step is to start building up the whole of the ship to be waterproof. I had to buy a lot of pieces for this. So I'm gonna lay down the first few layers on these base plates, and then we'll have to taper it out and up from here. This brings us to our first problem, which is these cracks in between the base plates. The thing about Lego is that they're not exactly watertight, but I do have a plan for how we might be able to fix that. I bought this heavy-duty saran wrap, which hopefully, if we put it between the plate layers, it can actually help keep the water out and kind of seal the cracks. This worked okay for the Noah's Ark build, but that was regular saran wrap. This is actually ultra premium strong. We just take this and stretch it right over the first layer, and then we'll just add another layer of plates. I'm gonna put a layer of bricks all the way around this, and then we're gonna start tapering it out and overlapping them. To overlap each one of the bricks so that none of them are like stacked right on top, because it makes the gaps bigger. So we're going to start by building up tall layers and then transition to shorter layers. We're going to do that at a larger scale, but that's kind of shape we're looking for. We just got to keep building this up until we get high enough to where we can add the propellers, which are going to make this thing move. Alright, here we have the hull so far. And as you can see, it's not bending, which is a truly good sign. Now, what we're going to do is build propellers for it. The propellers need to be in the bottom, underwater. But we can't just drill holes into the side of this and then stick axles through for the propellers, because then water would get in. And the whole point of using the saran wrap and all that stuff is so that water doesn't get in. So my plan is to attach some propellers on 90-degree actuators so that we can stick the motors and everything on top, but the axles will lead all the way down to the propellers, which will make it actually go. Pretty much the closest thing to a propeller Lego makes with an axle hole is this, and this is literally the size of my thumb. They do make these blades, so if we attach some of these together, we could get a pretty good propeller. Alright, we have our finished propeller design. Now, I know what you're thinking. That is really looking complicated. I don't know what's happening. Also, you're spinning it around. We basically just had to angle each one of the propellers and then hold it in place with these pieces here. So, if we grab our motor and our battery box here, will it work? I think we need to actually test this underwater. Maybe they'll start moving. Let's see. Oh, we overdrew the motor already. This is good news. Or, no, it's not. This is news. We need a gear ratio. Would you quiet? Now we've added a small gear ratio here. Let's see if it works. Oh wow. Dude, this thing... What's happening is the motor is sensing that too much power is needed, so it shuts off, because the water is slowing it down. I'm thinking, if we just remove one of these guys, that might be enough, because that's a lot of power. Nice. Okay, it shut off again. Well, at least we know that the propeller works. Now we just have to figure out the gear ratio and the system that's going to make this go underwater instead of having the motor level with it, so that's underwater. So now that we have a working propeller design, I'm pretty sure, my plan is to use these little 90-degree thingamajigs. And if we attach two of these like this, we can make it actually spin at a 90-degree angle. They're going to sit right about here, but I can't install them because clearly the walls aren't high enough. I'm just going to build up the walls a few more layers until we get to the area where we're going to build the hangar. Now, just kind of start at the bottom and then work our way up. Dang it. I was trying to move a brick and I made a little hole. I'm going to add an extra piece of saran wrap there and hopefully that'll seal it in. We got the first layer of bricks over the saran wrap. End of day one building this, and my plan tomorrow is to add another layer of saran wrap because, as you can see, I was a little short in the measurements. So yeah, now we just gotta build up these walls higher, and we'll be good to move on to building the hangar. For the floor of the hangar, I'm gonna use a bunch of tiles. And I think if we hammer these down, that'll really seal the floor. That is gonna be really strong. That's an issue. The thing about adding the saran wrap is that there's just a little bit too much space between the bricks. Obviously, that's not the, best thing for this, but I think sacrificing that is going to help for the waterproofing. So it's worth it. So I just got to finish up the floor, and then we're going to add an elevator that actually works to raise the jets up to the top. This thing is ginormous. Literally, this is already bigger than the Noah's Ark build we did. We got the inside that we can detail. I just added some plates and tiles to the ground, and I did like 3 or 4 layers of the saran wrap in different places. Now I built up these walls here that'll be 4 thick. It doesn't have saran wrap around the top part, but I think I have a genius way to kind of soak up some of the water that'll leak in. I sliced up SpongeBob into 30 different pieces. Actually, I just bought a bunch of sponges, and these will go inside the walls, and hopefully any extra water that comes in will just get soaked right into the sponge. It'll also keep the ship super clean. Sorry, I think that was my last sponge joke. You're good. Dude, perfect amount. 32 sponges, and that didn't make it much heavier. We're gonna weigh this guy. What does it say? That's it?
You strained yourself a lot to lift that.
This is how you live this. I also want to put an elevator in this that the jets can go onto, and that'll raise up so it'll be flush with the top of the surface. They actually have these giant elevators on the aircraft carriers, and it's pretty cool. This will be our elevator. So my plan is to put this on 2 pulleys that'll be controlled by these 2 motors, and it'll basically raise it up and down. The problem is this is going to be really fast, so let's grab a worm gear. This thing has a gear ratio actually built in already, so hopefully this will make it go just a little slower. Let's try this. There we go. That's very elevator-y. We just gotta find a way to mount the motors to the base. There we go. Now that we got the basic mechanism, all I gotta do is install this in the hull of the ship, and ideally it'll work. Hey, it's working. Let's go. Uh-oh. Well, there's one issue. So it just needs a little bit of fine-tuning, but the idea is there. And then, so this is level with the top. I'm just gonna put a layer of bricks on it, as well as a ramp right in front, so the jets can actually get onto it. There we go. Cool. Next thing we need to do is build some jets for the hangar and the interior. And while I'm doing that, I can tell you about this video sponsor, Liquid IV, the #1 powdered hydration brand in America that helps you quickly replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from sweat and exercise. With summer right around the corner, getting outside is a must. But while you're out there enjoying the summer heat, it's important to stay hydrated, and Liquid IV makes that way easier. With 0 sugar, 8 vitamins and nutrients, and 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, Liquid IV provides superior hydration than water alone. And apparently our bodies are made up of like 60% water, so clearly hydration is important. Here we have our fleet of fighter jets done. You can see I got a little dude for scale. That's the size that people are going to be. I also built a Black Hawk helicopter and a little shuttle to get people from A to B inside the aircraft carrier. We just got to finish decking out the hangar with all the living spaces and stuff where these are going to go. I love that Liquid IV doesn't have sugar. Personally, I've been sugar-free for over a year now because it just feels so much better. I'm really into healthy eating, and more recently, calisthenics, like push-ups and pull-ups. And like most of you, I usually forget to drink water during the day until I get really thirsty. Liquid IV is made without artificial sweeteners or colors and has the essential minerals my body needs to stay on top of the game. Its slim packaging makes it easy to throw a couple in a purse, pocket, or a travel bag for any of your outdoor activities this summer. So whether you're out hiking or doing push-ups, or even building a giant Lego boat that's slowly grinding off the tips of your fingers, use Liquid IV to maximize your hydration so you can get the most out of your summer. New customers can use my code BRICKSCIENCE to get 20% off your order. Thanks Liquid IV for sponsoring this video. And now we've completely finished the interior of the hangar. We have our engine room right here, a nice cafeteria with some round tables, and then moving over here we have our living quarters, just a lot of beds. Building stuff in mini scale presents an interesting challenge, but it looks pretty good in my opinion. Now we need to build the top deck, which is going to have a system for launching jets. And since that's the most important thing, I think I'm going to build that first. So basically what we need to do is build a simple catapult that can shoot one of these jets. So on the bottom, as you can see, I've added some of these nice little rounded plates. And what these allow us to do is actually build a track for it so it doesn't go right or left. Alright, now that we got the base built out, we just need to build a sled that will actually push the jets across. So I have some elastic. I'm going to do something similar to what I did for my crash test simulator. So when you stretch it back and put a pin in it, you just let it go and it'll snap the thing forward. And here we have it. It looks like a little plane, but this is going to work. We just got to install the reverse part of the track on the bottom that'll hold these little things. Alright, so this is what I came up with. As you can see, on the bottom, we have the sled. Right now, the way this works is the Technic bricks inside of this have a little hole. You just stick this right through. Oh gosh. Eye protection. We just want to push it back into the butt of the sled, and boom. All we have to do is pull this little temporary pin right here. This thing is perfect. Now we just need to take one of our motors and build a little release mechanism that will pull the pin out for us. Watch this. That works. Push this guy back, locks in, and you cannot move that. And this is just a pretty simple rotational linear actuator mechanism that just works like this. We have a radar gun. We're going to see how fast it actually shoots. I want you to put it right here so it doesn't hit the lens.
I'm scared.
There we go.
16 miles an hour! I broke my wrist.
Sorry, dude. 18 miles an hour. This thing shoots pretty fast. Check it out, I even built a heat shield deflector. And that's just built using a linear actuator in this little 90-degree thing here. It just pushes it up like that. Now that we got the release mechanism complete, we can actually install this thing on the top of the deck, which we need to build as well. We're gonna need a lot of these plates. Okay, so I'm gonna line the outside with these plates, and then we'll come in with some tiles and structure to kind of sandwich them between. Then as you can see, we'll take our launcher and put it right at the front. This thing is ginormous. Oh my gosh. Now we just gotta add some beveled pieces, like these little wedges, to the corners, and then really just lock all these pieces together. I have them tacked together, but that's not gonna work, so. You can see we have the catapult installed in the flight deck, and this thing, luckily, I just built it with some tiles, so you can just lift it up as one little panel. We can also install the propellers. I added just a simple gear ratio to this to make it go a little bit slower because it was way too fast. And that spins the blade that'll go into the water. I'm just gonna build a little control station at the back here to kind of hide these and hide battery boxes. Then I'm gonna grab a handful of bricks and go one layer around the very outside of this just to make it look nice. That'll also probably keep some of the water from getting on top of the boat. Some parking lines for the planes on top. So what I'm doing is building in these little jumper plates to the tiles. If we put them in just the right layout, we can actually add tiles on top and it'll snap together at an angle. Check it out. Just kind of a cool technique if you need to build tiles at an angle instead of having everything be flat. The last thing we have to do is just build the control tower right here. We have these two cables that are going to go into a battery box. And this should be the last of our motorized things. We just have to hide this in the control tower and add a bunch of dishes and radars and stuff that makes it look like the actual one on the ship. I'm just gonna ad-lib this because I have no idea what's on a real control tower, but it looks like there's some rooms and then some dishes and things that branch out, so we're gonna go with that. I'm a little concerned this is going to be a bit too heavy and cause this ship to tilt. What I'm going to do is weigh this, and then I'm going to take that weight in sand, fill a few tiny bags, and then put that on the other side of the ship. I really don't want that to cause the ship to flip over. It's done, you guys. We are finally ready. We can take it to the water and test it out. I have no idea if it's going to work, but really hopeful. Let's get this thing loaded up. All right, guys, we're here at the pool. We have the aircraft carrier. This thing is huge. It took 22 hours to build, and we're finally going to test it out. I'm going to test this launcher before we actually put it in the pool, just in case it doesn't float. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this guy back like this, and then we're gonna push this button. And that will lock it in place like that. And then what we're gonna do is put up the heat shield. And so to do that, we just click this button, just like that. And then we just gotta hit the release. Let's test this out in 3, 2, 1. Dude, look how far that went. Check it out. The launcher obviously works, but now we're gonna put this thing in the water and fully test it with propellers and all. This is so nerve-wracking, dude. I have no idea if this is gonna float or not. Here we go. You ready? 3, 2, 1. It's floating! Yes! Oh, it worked! It's working. Let's go. Now we just gotta attach the propellers, and now full back. Let's see if this actually works. Oh, that's forward. Hold on, we gotta go back. I'm just gonna stand completely still, see if it starts coming towards me. It's moving, right? Dude, it's working. All right, is it filling with water? I don't really see any water. Like, I think the thing is just high enough. Let's see if we can turn here. So we'll go one forward, one backwards. We're gonna try and turn it counterclockwise. Dude, it's actually working. You can see the hole underwater is staying together. Nice. Oh, we're gonna crash. Full back, full back. We bumped it a little bit. So we're gonna load a jet on, pull this guy back, and there we go, we're loaded, which means probably not the best idea to stay in front of this. So we're gonna rotate it around. I'll probably do it with the remote. Then this thing should rotate. This is, I'm not messing with this. These propellers are actually working 100% on the back here. All right. Okay, it's taking too long. We're gonna turn it manually now. We're gonna launch this in 3, 2, 1. That's so cool. We even have the little elevator in here that goes up and down. There is some water in there. We put the elevator up like this and raise this guy up to the top. Check it out. There we go. So we can move the planes or the jets from the bottom to the top. On the way here, it got a little off center, but boom. As you can see, it actually works in water. It moves around. This is, I'd say it's better than the Ark. 3, 2, 1. Now it's time to finally see if it's full of water. Dang it! I'm positive the sponges are completely soaked. Huge thanks for watching. Check out when I built Noah's Ark right here and tested that in the water. And then check out this video where I flooded an entire Lego city. See ya!
Jones, please check your HUD for urgent mission details that require your immediate attention and action.
I'm on it.
Alright.